Hello and welcome to the Zwift Race Place. I'm Kate Fravel, and today we're bringing you live coverage and commentary of the Sunday crash by Rhino Racing. A new race here to Zwift. We just brought this public just a couple weeks ago. And first up, I want to walk you through this Velo viewer here. This is going to be our course today. We're doing the Watopia's Waistband route here. And before we get into that, I just wanted to remind everybody this is going to be a chase race style race where our Ds are released first, our Cs 4 minutes later, our Bs 7 minutes after the Cs, and then the As just 1 minute after the Cs. So that should be exciting here today. But there will, of course, also be a lot of individual competition within each category as well. And as I mentioned in the chat, if you want to just let me know which category you think will win over there, that'd be great. We can just run a little poll in the chat over there. Right now, I am in the pens with our D racers, but first I'm going to walk us through this Velo viewer here. So, in terms of the route description, we're going to start over in the desert of Fuego Flats. We're going to kind of ride along some of the outlying islands here in Watopia, come around the outside of the volcano, and then back through the main island, through your main start-finish banner, and we finish again at the Fuego Flats sprint. So that should be exciting. Looks like Unknown is rooting for the Ds over there in the chat. Looks like our chat box, I got that working right down below my webcam here on the stream. But anyway, taking a look at the Velo viewer, you can see there's a little bit of elevation, but this is largely a very flat course. And we're going to release this as an official series in the coming weeks. So we'll have some more fun courses once we go in with an official series. But right now, flatter course, Watopia's Waistband. Just a fun fact, this route started out as a rebel route and then eventually transitioned into an official route on Zwift. Today's length, 25.5 kilometers, that's 15.8 miles for our US friends, and an elevation gain of 95 meters. So like I said, a very flat route. That's 312 feet once again for our friends here in the US. Let's see what's happening in the pens with our Ds right now. Okay, here we go. We are just under 5 minutes to the start here, and we are warming up right now with Patrick Hopperanta. I believe he is a Rhino out there today. A lot of the riders that you're going to see out here today will be Rhinos, but we're hoping to get a couple new racers from other teams in the coming weeks. It looks like we've got 19 riders signed up in the D pens right now, and of those 19, only 7 that I see here are registered on Zwift Power. Patrick Hopperanta is one of them, riding for the Rhinos. At 99 kilos, he should be a good contender in today's race. He's ranked number 1 in our Ds. We've also got Mark Lant and Matt Poulter from the Rhinos. Jason Kresley, Dirk Nauman, both racing here today, ranked in 4th and 5th place. Neither of them riding for a team. David Green, another Rhino racer out there today. He's ranked 6th on Zwift Power. And then Joe SM, Joe J.O., it looks like she's one of our female racers out there today. Once again, not riding for any team, but our top 3 ranked riders in the D race are Patrick Hopperanta, Mark Lant, and Matt Poulter. Now, if you'll excuse me for just a minute, I'll leave you with the pictures here. We're just under 3.5 minutes to go. Okay, sorry about that. Just closing my door so we can hopefully tone it down on background noise. Once again, if you want to leave me with the category you think is most likely to win, just let me know over in the chat, or root for some of your favorite riders. I see Unknown says, "Come on, Matt." I think that would be in reference to Matt Poulter from the Rhino squad. He should have a great race today. Strong sprinter, and it's definitely a sprinter's course. So, kind of back on the subject of how this racing ends up going down. Yes, it is a chase race, but we will see some individual competitions from within that chase race style, most likely out here today. You know, a spot is a spot, and if it's just a category rolling into the line, not competing against any other category, I think most likely we'll see some sprints for those places out there. Looks like we are at just about 2 minutes to the start of our race now. We've got quite a bit happening in the chat over here. Let's see, Gordon Sloan is the leader of the Rhinos here. Let's see what he has to say. "Evening all, great to see so many racers. Please try to work with your group for the first half, keeping the higher cats away. Next week will be the start of 8-week series with some great courses and finish points lined up." So, there you go. That's the official press release, I guess, from our Supreme Leader, Gordon Sloan. And like he mentioned in the chat, there is a Discord link in the event description if you want to hop on Discord with some of our other Rhinos. Approaching a minute now to the start of the D race. As I said, the C's will depart 4 minutes after that. Our B's are going to be leaving the pens 7 minutes after our C's, and our A's... Okay, sorry. The B's will be leaving the pens just 3 minutes after the C's, and the A's will be departing just 1 minute after our B's. I believe our A's are going to be our smallest field out there today, hence just the small gap between the B's and the A's. I think actually they may close that down pretty fast. Some strong A's out there today. I think the biggest gap is going to be the one between our D's and C's. Our C's are going to be a strong field out there as well. It's really a toss-up. I'm not sure which category is going to take it today, but Piha Paranta, this is the rider that is currently ranked number 1 in the D race. So let's see what he has to show us right off the line. Just under 20 seconds now. Alright, approaching 10 seconds. Let's see how they jump off the line here. Paranta up to 562 watts, 567 now, and it looks like he is pushing pretty hard off the line here. 300, now up to almost 600 watts there, around 3 watts per kilo. This is a pretty fast start for our D's out here today. Let's see if we can get farther up the road with the D's. Looks like this was a big field. Moving towards the front of the race here. Sorry about that little glitch there. Ended up with a rider back in the pens, but currently leading the race right now. Paranta in this group right here in that Rhino jersey. And it looks like J. Tirado Navarez is also up here as well. He's up here with E. Curel. So these two riders currently leading out our D race. When their elapsed time clock hits 4 minutes, I believe that's when we can jump back with our C's in the pens. But for now, it's just a battle of the D's, and I think hopefully we'll see these two riders who are currently flying off the front right now start to come back to the main pack and try and work together with their team, because that is the goal of today's race. Looking in the chat here, it looks like Random Cyclist loved the mention of Gordon Sloan as Supreme Leader. I believe that's what Lee Welch calls him on our Rhino website as well, which I always thought was funny, so I think I adopted that for myself. So credit goes to Lee Welch for that clever little title there for Gordon. See, looking in the chat, Julian Fussell is here as well with Ollie Fussell, his son. Both super fast racers, covered many a race with them in it as well. Alright, let's see, back with our race now. I'm just looking here, and it looks like Tirado Navarez And Lloyd Jones is the chaser right now. So Curel and Tirado Narvaez have jumped clear of the field. They've got about 4 seconds here, and they're definitely not embracing this more category spirit where we're working together, but maybe making an early attack to try and stay away from some of these categories that are departing later, taking matters into their own hands. Let's go back, take a look at our chasers here. Gilbert looks like he is on the front right now. And a lot of riders not belonging to the Rhino team in here, which is great to see. Looks like we've got a pretty good turnout from across the board. I see a herd rider right here. Moving up towards the front of this pack, looks like this is R. Jackson from the Wolf Pack, maybe trying to bridge the gap. He's got a little bit of room on some of those riders behind. No, it looks like he's been swept back up by the peloton, so they're really just trying to chase down those two flyers, who now have about 2 seconds on the rest of the field. They're going to want to bring them back into the pack, get them working for our Ds, because our Ds have got a nice race ahead of them here today, and still none of the other categories have set off quite yet, so they're going to have a lot of work to do out here today. Always better to have the strongest riders in the pack with you, and here we go. That's the catch of Curel and Tirado Narvaez. Now, they have been brought back into the pack, so they'll be aiding our Ds in their effort to stay away from the rest of our categories out here today. Just a reminder for anybody just tuning in, it is the category that survives the longest, comes across the line first, that will win, and we should see some good individual battles within each category here as well. Tirado Narvaez coming back towards the front on the D race. And it looks like we are just about 30 seconds away from the start of our C race. We'll see if we can jump back with them in just a minute. Still got some stragglers from the D race. There we go. Looks like our C racers have just started. We'll see if we can jump back with them. Just going to go back through the map here. See if we can find them out on the road. Here we go. JB, Jonathan Bishop. By the way, credit to JB for our thumbnail today. He was the designing master behind this. Looks like he's off the front here, though. Starting out hard with 5.8 watts per kilo. I think he's going to let the pack catch back up to him here, easing it off just a little bit. We'll see how this goes. Looks like Iglesias Castro just passing JB on the front there. And Tandy from the Rhinos, another strong rider. And I haven't gone over some of our fastest riders in the C's yet, so I think we're going to take a look at some of the favorites right here. Just switching over to Zwift Power right now. Alright, actually gonna stop in the chat for a minute here. Julian Fussell says, C have the numbers, we think B will win though, and I think that that is a good guess. B's have definitely proved themselves worthy in the Sunday Crash before, and even before we took it public, it was usually a battle between the C's and the B's, so I think those are your two categories to watch out for today. Gordon Sloan, as I said earlier, our Rhino head of affairs, I guess you could call him, in the chat there, just says, let's go. But anyway, back over to what I was getting to just a minute ago, some of our favorites in the C race today, and it's definitely looking like our Rhinos are dominating the top of the predicted leaderboard here. We've got Jonathan J.B. Bishop. He's predicted first. Barry Collins, James Morgan, Michael Tandy, Tim Moody, and Dan Ryan, all Rhinos. Then we have John Vidar Steiner from the Vikings. He'll be a rider to watch out for as well. Helena Carlson, one of our female Rhinos and C racers. She's also in here. Then down the line, I see quite a few more Rhinos. TFC there, and a couple other teams represented here in our C race. Let's go over to the Zwift Power live data and see if we can get the gaps between our C's and D's. Looks like the gap right now, 3 minutes and 33 seconds. Our C's departed 4 minutes after the D's, so that would mean they've closed nearly 30 seconds already. Assuming that Zwift Power live data is reliable here, which it isn't always, occasionally crashes, but Also, just looking on Zwift Power, looks like we've got a couple sandbaggers in Cat D, and I'm not seeing those riders that went off the front represented here on Zwift Power. So we'll have to see what happens in our D category, because we have a lot more Ds in Zwift than we do registered in Zwift Power. Turning it back over to the race here, see what's going on. On the front right now, we've got A Gates pulling. These riders just about to come through the banner, and with 3 minutes of elapsed time, I believe that means our Bs have just started out on course. I'll spend another minute on the Cs here. It looks like they're going to be picking up some of our dropped D riders not too far away. I'm trying to see if I can get the gaps on that. Here we go, Jay Carson dropping an arrow power up. That's an interesting strategy call here. As this is a race where our riders should be trying to work together. He was just pulling off the front for a minute there, but it looks like he's back in the group. Zooming out on my Zwift Companion app now, I'm going to try and see what the approximate gaps are between the C's and D's. It looks like we've got a much larger group of C's here on the road than we do D's, and the D's are just approaching our town in the desert here. But time to head back with our Bs now. And I see Freddie Fernandez in the chat there, another one of our rhinos. And I believe it is time for our B departure. Although I might be wrong. It might in fact be that we're departing. The Bs are departing 7 minutes after the Cs. Just give me a minute to see if I can head back through the leaderboard here. Try and find some Bs out on the road. You can just see there, it's an extremely large group of Cs. We saw one rider dropping an arrow power up on the back there, trying to get back on. Here we go, we're in with our Bs now, and I was right, I think it was 3 minutes after the Cs that they left the pens here. They have slightly smaller numbers, as Julian and Ollie Fussell mentioned in the chat earlier, but their money is on the Bs here, and you can see why they're moving at quite a quick pace here, 47 kilometers per hour. I switched it over to metric for today's race, even though usually I'm used to commentating in the Imperial system, but we're going to try this out because I know a lot of our viewers do use the metric system. Moving up to the front of the B race here, it looks like the gap to some of the dropped Cs is still out to 148, but that's to be expected. Our Bs haven't left the pens too long ago. They are only 1.9 kilometers into this race, and it looks like our A's have departed as well, because they were scheduled to leave the pens just a minute after the Bs, so we'll check in with them in a minute as well. Gonna check over in the chat here, see what's happening over there. Let's see, it doesn't, there we go, looks like we've got a lot of new chats here. So Julian Fussell said Michael Tandy is a great rider, and Julian Fussell, I'd have to agree with you. Michael Tandy is definitely a strong rider, and as I said earlier, a good sprinter. We might see him take the victory in his category out there today. Although definitely a team player, I suspect he'll be working for his category as well as going for the win. Random Cyclist said, was that a COVID jab JB had or something else? So it looks like Gordon says he thought JB was ill. So maybe JB having a little bit of, maybe he's out for the count today. We saw him racing, he looked great off the front there, but maybe he's got some sort of ailment going on right now. We'll just have to see what's happening there. Gordon just said, I thought, yeah, okay. So, hopefully JB is okay. And looks like Julian Fussell said, Ollie enjoys a Mad Monday with Tim Moody. Go Tim. Another rider there, Tim Moody. Or sorry, another Rhino there, Tim Moody. Another great rider as well. But now I think it's time to jump back with our A's. I'll talk about some of our favorites in the A race in just a minute. Rhinos not quite as well represented in the A's. We don't have quite as much of an A field, but it looks like D. Yarwood is the rider off the front currently. And heading over to the favorites now. Ollie Fussell would like to know which bike would be the best on this course. And I'm going to have to go with Tron if you have it, just because that's one of the best aero bikes out there. But otherwise, anything you can get that's aero. So, Canyon Aero Road with an aero wheel set is always a good choice on a flat course if you don't have that Tron. So those would be my top 2 picks for Ollie. But anyway, heading over to Zwift Power here, let's see what we have in terms of favorites in the A race. So it looks like Robin Anderson, a Swedish Swifter, is predicted in first. John Peel from the Rhino squad, he is currently predicted second. Ayrton Carlton from the CTB team predicted in third. Miles Askew, WTRL, predicted in fourth. And then we only have 3 more riders here. Daniel Lim riding for no team. James McGill for the Rhino in looks like he's predicted 7th there. And Jason Frizzle, I believe he's a new addition to the Rhino team, if I'm not mistaken. He is predicted in 7th. All fast riders here. And let's head on over to the Zwift Power Live data to see what the gaps are currently. The A's and B's didn't start with much of a gap, and it looks like it's holding pretty steady around 1 minute. That would be actually 1 minute and 2 seconds, but just around where they started. Our gap from the B's to the C's, that's just going out over 3 minutes, 3:07 currently, which is a little bit more than the B's started with, so we'll just have to see. I don't know. It looks like our C's are pushing pretty fast out there. And the C's, just 3 minutes off the D's now. They've closed down an entire minute. Just got an update. Now 2:54 from the C's to the D's. So that gap coming down quite fast, and I think our C's will be our new leaders pretty soon out on course. Let's head back over to the racing. We'll see what's happening over there. Okay, random cyclist. I believe that's Dave Townley is random cyclist, but don't quote me on that. It says, watch out for James, Jason, John in A's. They will be going hard. They will work well together. And I'm sure they will, because I believe they're all on a ZRL team together, our Rhino A ZRL team, so they know what it's like to work together as a group. And they should be closing down gaps pretty fast as well. Jace Frizzle has been riding with Rhinos for a while, but mostly TTTs. Okay, thanks for the clarification on that. So Jason Frizzle is not a new Rhino. I stand corrected. Thanks, random cyclist. But anyway, over in the race right now, it looks like our A's and B's currently sitting around 1 minute and 10 seconds. D. Yarwood really leading the chase here. He's been on the front for a little while, or she, I'm not 100% sure. But if you look over at the flags of our A racers, a lot of UK and US flags in this pack. But in general, this has been a very diverse race, seeing a lot of flags over on the right-hand side here. BZR rider F. Bayarts, just coming off the front for a minute there. Jason Frizzle, that's the rider I've been talking about. I believe Dave Townley just informed me in the chat that he's been riding TTTs for quite a while. So he'll know what it's like to be working together as a group to try and catch the group in front of you, get the fastest time, because that is essentially what today's race is. Moving up with the B's now, see who's at the front up here. Looks like Kay DeVette right now leading out our B's. Saw A. Owen represented the Welsh Rhino in there. A good amount of jerseys and a good amount of teams, as well as a lot of riders not riding for any team, not registered on Zwift Power. So a good turnout today in this race. Looks like our B's moving pretty quickly, 46 kilometers per hour, just hovering around 46, 47 right now, and only 12 meters of elevation done. Although, in truth, we're only doing 95 today, so quite a flat course. And I believe our Ds should maybe be exiting the desert right about now. So we're going to see if we can head up through the categories, catch up with our Ds. Some drop Ds there in the C group. In terms of our front Cs, looks like I just hit upon the front C group here, I believe. Here's Ian Radar from the Rhinos. They're just coming through this little town here. See an ATP jersey in there as well. Jay Gross, also from the Rhinos. So our C's moving pretty quickly as well, hovering about 6 kilometers per hour slower than our B's. And it looks like, here we go, this is actually our front C group. That group there was the chase group in terms of C's. And these riders, moving closer to 46 kilometers an hour. So right around what our B's are putting out. And I just saw, here we go, JB Jonathan Bishop still in this group. So hopefully he's feeling all right. I know we had a little bit of speculation in the chat that he was possibly feeling ill, but he's still up here in the front group, as well as Barry Collins, I believe I saw there, and A. Hayes from the WTRL. 3 names to watch out for later in the race. Anyway, I said I was moving on up to the D's, so here you go, moving towards the front of the D race now. And it looks like our D's are just exiting this little section here. This will spit them out onto some of those outlying islands that I mentioned earlier on. They're going to head along those out to the volcano, like I mentioned earlier on in the stream as well. And it looks like B. Rowntree from the Wolfpack is leading them out right now. I don't see any rhinos left in this front D pack, although, just take a look here. There we go, a couple rhino jerseys that I think I saw in there. And they're just out onto this stretch of road here, so it'll be quite another long flat section before we get to the volcano here. 50 kilometers an hour right now. Their negative 2% gradient just came off a decent descent, so they're moving pretty quickly right now. Let's see if we've got any new chats over here to check out. Let's see. Here we go. Nothing new in the chat as of right now. Let's head on over to Zwift Power, see what our gaps are looking like. And there we go. Our C's have closed it down quite a bit. The C's just 2 minutes and 20 seconds behind our D's. And I should note that that is only measuring the gap from our Zwift Power registered C's to our Zwift Power registered D's. And I do believe we have a Zwift Power registered C, at least one, quite a few, in the front C group. In the D group, I am not so sure. It looks like on Zwift Power we've got, I think Patrick Haparanta is still in the front group. Yep, so that gap will be accurate. You can kind of just ignore everything I just said. But anyway, 2 minutes and 20 seconds from the C's to the D's. Then from the B's to the C's, it's now still sitting right around 3 minutes. That's the gap they started with. And I know Julian and Ollie Fussell speculated in the chat that maybe our B's would have it today, but they're not really closing down this gap fast enough if they want to win this race. That gap from the B's to the C's is going to have to start coming closed a bit faster than it is right now, because our A's are starting to close on our B's as well. That gap is now under a minute. It looks like that gap now under 45 seconds, actually. So our A is closing fast on the B's, and I believe Random Cyclist was correct. He said watch out for James, Jason, and John in the A's, and they are definitely pulling fast. Okay, so Julian Fussell wondering how the scoring works for this event. So to answer that question, we're not really there is no official scoring today. Our official series will be starting next week. This is more of just a fun race, as a precursor to the official series starting next week. And I'm not sure that we have all the details. I think our Gordon Sloan will have more details on scoring for us next week that I don't currently have right now. But for today, the only thing we're worried about is which category comes in first, is really the main purpose of this race. And then we should also see some good individual battles between riders within their own categories. So, essentially, yeah, there we go. Gordon just let us know scoring to be sorted for next week. So, I don't believe we're entirely sure how scoring is going to work next week. But this week, it's all about which category is going to come across the line first. That category wins. So the category to get its first rider over the line before any other category will win. And then we should also see some good individual battles between riders within their own categories, which should also be fun. Gordon says to keep an eye on Discord. I'll post details. So I'll keep an eye on Discord for you, and hopefully we'll be able to come back with another stream next week. Just have to see what my schedule looks like, but this is definitely a fun race to stream. Alright, here we go. Our D's have just exited the tunnel there, and they've come right into a torrential downpour. Here, B. Rowntree from the Wolfpack on the back foot a little bit there. On the front is Tirado Narvez. he was the rider we saw in a little breakaway off the front before, but in terms of Zwift Power, he won't count in the end, as I don't believe he's registered on Zwift Power. I'll double check that for you right now. But, yeah, not seeing Tirado Narvaez registered on Zwift Power, so I believe that means he will not count in terms of our category v category competition. And just taking a look here, it looks like our Bs have managed to speed themselves back up. Their gap to the A's back out to a minute now, which our A's were getting close to our Bs there for a minute. I thought they might make the catch, but it looks like that gap has sorted itself back out to around 1 minute. Although looking at our estimated times of arrival on Zwift Power, our A's are predicted to arrive before our Bs. Actually, scratch that. Now they're predicted to arrive after. We just got another update there. So, but anyway, what I was saying is Tirado Narvaez will not count towards the overall. Let me check on Curl here, but I don't believe I saw his name in the list either. So these two riders, even if they end up going off the front, aren't really helping their category very much. Gazpio, I might have seen his name on there. The one rider I'm pretty sure I know for sure is registered is our Rhino in here, Patrick Haparanta, excuse me there. So, and Dom D from the herd also registered on Zwift Power. So those are the two riders to be watching for at the front of the Ds, because those are two of the riders that are going to count, and a couple other of these riders as well. But I wouldn't worry about those two riders who have broken off of the front of this race, because they're not going to be officially counted in Zwift Power. Now, I have planned to try out the hide the HUD mode on Zwift here in today's live stream when I get a chance. So once we settle in with a category, I might try and switch over to that and see how that looks. But for now, I'm going to try and head back with our C category, see what they're up to out on the road. And, well, here we go. This is Jay Carson. He's off the front by quite a bit. And just taking a look on Zwift Power, does not appear to be registered. So I think this is another flyer that we can disregard. But back with the main group here, E. Kruger definitely saw his name at the top of that list on Zwift Power in terms of registered riders. So this is the gap we've got to be watching from the C's to the D's right now. I'm not sure if they'll make that catch, but looking at the live data, the gap is now down to 1 minute and 43 seconds. I'll remind you, they started with 4 minutes on the D's, so they're definitely closing down right now. And Julian Fussell wants to know if the rain has any impact on the race in terms of CDA or rolling resistance. And I don't know if somebody else wants to take that one, because honestly, I am not positive whether or not rain has any impact. That seems like a question for Zwift Insider to me. I'll have to check that out later. But I'm going to go with no, I don't believe so, but don't take my word for it. I'd check some other reliable Zwift sources out there, because I'm not positive if the rain has any impact. It'd be a good thing to research, though. Back to the race here. E. Kruger from the Dirt. He's in this group right now. Also, I still see JB from the Rhinos here as well, so hopefully he's feeling alright. There's D. Ryan, another Rhino. But RC's moving pretty quickly. 40k right now on a 1% gradient, and they're sweeping up some of our drop D riders pretty fast here. The question is going to be, I think we can say for sure that they will catch our D group, but the question is going to be whether or not they can hold off the Bs after they've done that. And looking at our live gaps right now, just heading over to Zwift Power, it looks like the gap from C to B has fallen under 3 minutes, but only under by 6 seconds. So right now the gap is at 2 minutes. Whoa, we just got an update, but looks like the gap has stayed the same. The gap right now, well, now it's over 3 minutes, so our B is not really making any headway on the C's. So I'd say you can, I don't know. It'll be a tough race between the B's and the C's, and I think that might be the race we'll end up watching here today. Although our A's have made quite a lot of headway on the B's, that gap now down to just 34 seconds. So 34 seconds from the A's to the B's, and it looks like our category is kind of riding in groups of two. We've got the A's and B's pretty close together at the back, and the C's and D's, that gap has been coming down quite a bit. But then in the middle, you've got that gap from the C's to the B's, which is still a fairly large gap. So it's all going to come down to how fast these categories are. B's just made up a little ground on the A's, bought themselves a little bit of time. That gap now 40 seconds. So just have to watch all that. Looks like E. Kruger has gone off the front here. He's here with our bud from the ECC team. These two riders riding in spots 1 and 2. And let's see if we can try this dropped HUD mode for a minute. There we go. Alright, I'll bring my webcam back in here. So, this is one of the new features on Zwift. I just thought I'd kind of debut for you on the live stream. They've given you the ability to hide the user interface, although it does make it a little challenging for me to switch between riders here. You can see this rider getting spit out the back. It makes it harder for me to move up within the pack, but it's definitely a great step forward for Zwift in terms of more immersive gameplay. If you're into that kind of thing, you can see the waterfall on the left right there. And I've been noticing things I haven't previously noted in the Zwift gamescape from using this new mode. Go, nice view on the side of the bridge there, riders passing by the waterfalls. I thought it'd be interesting to try this out on the stream. There they go through the tunnel. Alright, let's take a look at the gaps one more time, and it's now down to a minute from our C's to our D's, 1 minute from the C's to the D's. That's a big step forward for our C's. Once they can get it under 1 minute, they're going to be moving towards the point where they're within their sights. And if our C's can get those D's within their sights, then I think it's all over for the D's, because once you have that carrot to chase, it becomes so much easier to just accelerate and catch that group ahead. As for our other gaps out there, it looks like the gap from our B's to our C's has also come down, now sitting at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's still a pretty hefty gap to close. And looking at, I'm going to bring the display back for a minute here. We're 18.3 kilometers in for our C's out of a 25.5 kilometer race. So that puts us at about 7K to go. And that doesn't give the B's a ton of time to close down that gap. And likewise for our C's to D's, although I think a minute is much more doable. Then as for our A's, they're still sitting 4 minutes and 6 seconds in total behind the D's. So that's quite a ways back. But now the gap from the B's to the A's is, that's come down quite a bit. It looks like that's just about 13 seconds now. So we should probably head back with our B's and our A's, see what we can find there. It looks like our C's just hovering around 1 minute behind the D's right now. So we'll just have to, we'll check in with some live estimated times of arrival after we see if we can catch the catch. That's a funny little thing there, but see if we can watch the catch between the A's and the B's, and see if they can make the catch. Bring the display back here for a minute. We're going to try and move back through the field, see if we can find our A's out on course. Chase group of C's there. Here are our B's. Stop in this group for just a minute. K to vet. And behind that should be the A's, not too far behind, in fact, because we saw that gap coming down quite fast. Here we go. Team Murphy from the 60 plus. Wait for me. I didn't see him on Zwift Power, but he very well could have been. They're just coming by the waterfall we just saw a minute ago, and they're fast approaching on our B's. We can see them up there on the minimap. Looks like the B's have just come around this U-turn here. That gap now down to right around 10 seconds. They'll be in their sights pretty soon. As I said, we can see them on the minimap just from right here. Our A's moving quite fast up through these fields. Looks like they just caught a dropped group of C's there. Here we go. Looks like we can see some B's here on the leaderboard. Right around 19 seconds to our B's out there today. A's to B's, that gap coming down quite fast. See what we have to say in the chat. Yeah, agreed, Random Cyclist. JB is flying. I think, well, he may be sick, but that's not what I race like when I'm sick. He's moving quite fast out there today. And Julian Fussell says we're now worried about the B's, and I agree. I think they're just about to get caught by the A's. So Maybe the B's was not the pick for today. I thought that for sure they'd be up there in the runnings for first place. It's not over till it's over, but 13 seconds only right now between our B's and A's, so I think this should come to an end pretty soon. Looking at, see if we can see the Zwift Power live gaps, although I think right now Zwift is going to be more accurate if I can keep these gaps on screen. Looks like 12 seconds now, and maybe if we zoom out, can we see both groups? Does not look like it currently, but they're definitely just up there on the mini-map. Right around 12 seconds, the gap. Gordon says JB needs dope test. I'm not sure if that's within my jurisdiction as live streamer, but I think I could possibly arrange for that. I don't know though. It's he's all the way on the other side of the Atlantic. I'd have to take a flight there. Maybe Gordon, you wanna cover the dope test for me? I can send you the stuff, and can knock on his door. Anyway, back in with the race. Let's see if that gap has come down at all. Looks like it's just about 8 seconds now to some of those B riders, but there is a lot of dropped groups in the middle here. Looks like we're just about to pick up Ian Radar from the Rhinos. That would be a dropped C rider just coming through here, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Radar at the back. So I think that's the group of B's we can see just up ahead now. There's a couple D's mixed in there. They'll be dropped D riders. Here we go, 6 seconds. The catch just about to be made, and our A's 19.7K into this race. Have to check over on Zwift Power because we'll have to jump back up with our C's and D's soon because they'll be finishing soon, and the gap between those two now 28 seconds. So we'll have another catch to watch up at the front of the race. Here we go though. T. Murphy from 60 plus weight for me. He is pushing hard. Looks like our A's have now entered the back of the B field here. They'll be through in just a minute. Gives me a minute to take a water break. 6.3 watts per kilo here from C. Parsons _green from the SDW squad. SDW is the team that both Julian and Ollie Fossil race for, just on a side note. Two of our most active members in the chat currently. Thanks for that, guys. And here we go. Our A's are through, so now time to see if we can catch back up with our C's and D's a little farther up the road. M. Tandy here. Fast rider there. Whoa, that looked like possibly a U-turn. Here's Torado Narvez. He is off the front. Once again, a flyer we don't need to worry about. Gilabert, I have to check on him. We'll see. I'm not seeing his name up here anywhere in the Zwift Power registered riders, so another flyer we can disregard. But the first rider I'm seeing on the list, I believe, is going to be, I don't know, I think gotta look at the Zwift Power live gaps. It looks like 13 seconds from our first Zwift Power C rider to our first Zwift Power D rider. Have to check on that. Here, I believe this is the front C group. Here's A. Hayes from the WTRL squad. See a couple riders in here as well. So this would be your lead C group, and I believe one of these riders, maybe S. Lind, some of these riders just up ahead, I believe, are the Ds that are about to be caught. You can see that little group up there on the mini-map, just about to pass through the banner there. So this will be our second catch out there today, and if I'm not mistaken, I think our C's are probably the favorite to win now, because the gap from the A's, who just recently caught the B's, to the front of the race is still 2 minutes and 34 seconds. It's a lot to close, and looking at estimated times of arrival, here we go, our C's have officially passed the D's on Zwift Power now. Our C's, their ETA is at 42:56. That's faster than any other category right now. Our next ETA is from the D's at 43:45, then the A's predicted at 44:25, and the B's not far behind at 44:47. I don't know exactly how accurate those are, but if those are something to go on, then it looks like our C's might be our winning category right now. over in the live chat, Julian Fussell laughing about our little bit about the dope test. Wow, come on, CPG. I believe CPG was the SDW rider I was just focused on a minute ago. I think he was in the A race. Alright, here we go. We are now 24 kilometers down, 24.1 actually. That gives us a to-go distance of just 1.4k. And our C's are making quick work of that. I think it's safe to say that our C's are most likely going to be the winning category at this point. Now it's going to come down to maybe a sprint between individual riders for the C's. We'll have to watch this finish. All those other D riders up farther ahead on the road have been deemed as not eligible for this race, I believe, because they're not registered on Zwift Power. I'm not sure, Gordon, if you want to weigh in on this in the chat, if we're counting non-Zwift Power registered riders in the category competition, but I don't believe they are going to be counted. See Barry Collins there on the leaderboard. He's got a strong sprint. Raced with him many a time in my own ZRL team, the Nuclear Rhinos. So I have to see if he can pull out a nice sprint here at the end. Let's go over to the chat, see if Gordon had anything to say on that. Not yet, but hopefully in a minute. Okay, yeah, Gordon says no, so I believe that means no, we're not going to be counting those non-ZP registered riders. Julian Fussell says Chris Parsons Green is crazy strong. He's winning our SDWIRL T series. So yeah, he definitely looked crazy strong in the A race. He's doing a lot of the work for our A's, although I think right now it might be over for our A's. Ollie reckons Tandy or Moody, so Ollie Fussell has his money on Michael Tandy or Jay Moody up here at the front. Both Rhinos. I wouldn't count JB out though either. There we go. Oh, sorry, it's Tim Moody, not Michael Moody. I apologize for that. Looks like Kruger leading us out right here. He's just about to catch Carson, a non-Zwift Power registered rider, and it looks like they may catch that group of flyers from the D race as well. Torado Narvez just 34 seconds ahead, but it looks like Kruger making an early attack. We are now at the 25.5k mark, so I guess my distance was just a little bit off, but the finish line is coming up here in just a couple minutes. That I know for sure. We can see it on the mini-map now, the little elevation profile up there. We're going to come across this side and we'll pop up, our little orange indicator will pop up on the other side of the mini-map. And you can see the finish line is marked by that yellow bull's head on an orange background there. That will be where we're finishing. 25.9k down now, so I'm not sure how much we have left to go. As I said, my distance is a little off, but we just passed the pens, so if you remember the distance from the pens to when we passed through that first arch, that should be about 3 minutes for our C's, I'd say. So we'll be finishing up right around the 39-minute mark here. E. Kruger from Dirt still in the front. 2.6 watts per kilograms currently. Hayes from WTRL up here as well. I'd watch for him. D. Ryan from the Rhinos. I haven't raced with him very much, so don't have a ton to say. I'm not sure how strong his sprint's going to be, but I wouldn't count him out either. Here we go. Let's see if I can hop in with JB. Alright, JB is definitely a rider with a strong sprint. I've sprinted against him a couple times in this race before we went public with it, and he'll also have a good sprint, so that's something for you to take into account, Ollie, as well, with your predictions. I wouldn't count JB out. Alright, Unknown says it's going to be Tandy, Absolute Machine, so we'll have to see about that as well. And Gordon says B&A are coming, and they are right, and he is right. Just about 1 minute and 20 seconds now from B's and A's to the front of the race. But our C's are approaching the finish line pretty fast. I don't see, let's see if we can zoom out here. There we go, I can see our lead A's and B's on the minimap. They're coming in fast too, so this could be an exciting finish of the categories. I had counted them out a little while ago, but I had an incorrect distance down. So now that the finish line is a little farther away, our A's are still in this race. I think our B's, it's going to be a little harder for them, but they are still in it as well. And we can't count out Chris Parsons. I gotta check on that last name. Chris Parsons Green either. The Fussels are going to be rooting for him, a fellow SDW rider. So this should be an exciting finish. Maybe inter-category finish. Definitely some good sprints from within categories. And right now we know a couple riders have their money on Tandy, so we'll have to see if that works out. At the front here, now we see some draft and aero power-ups being dropped. The finish line is not far away. Looks like E. Kruger now on the front. 5.8 watts per kilograms. R. Dixon up here as well, although I'm not sure if he's registered on Zwift Power. That is one of my least favorite things about commentating Zwift races, is it can be hard to tell who's actually going to count in the end. And not, CJB, 6 watts per kilo, right up there as well. T from the DBR squad, J. Madsen. So Madsen is going to go over the line first, then T from DBR, then D. Bailey, and it looks like JB was the first Rhino across the line. We'll have to wait for an official finish on that, because I'm not sure which rider went across the line first that actually counted towards the finish. JB was definitely the first rider I saw that I know is registered on Zwift Power, but there could have definitely been somebody who squeaked in there before him. Alright, see if we can jump back with the A's now. Sorry about this, having a little bit of trouble getting in with those other categories. Just give me a minute here. I believe Chris Parsons Green might have finished up, because he is not showing here, so we'll see if I can catch a B out on course. There we go. Just updated here. I'm gonna try and catch some of the other finishes. See if we can get in with D from the herd. Alright, looks like a lot of our riders here had finished up because I'm unable to jump in with them from the Zwift Companion app. But I think our alright, there we go. Gordon says to try and jump in with him. So jump in with him now. But I can say for sure that our C's won out there today. So credit to the C's for that amazing finish. And jumping in with Gordon Sloan now. Back into the race. Looks like riders just coming in to finish up here. Moving up through the categories here. And I do see a couple A riders there. Not sure where they are. Here's the banner right up there. Looks like a little bit of a sprint. DTBDC sprinting hard for the banner. Just some of our last riders finishing up here. Some dropped riders from a variety of categories. D. Yarwood, he was pulling hard in the A race earlier on, and I'm not sure if he's off the front of the A's, just waiting for a, he's in 10th currently, so I believe the rest of our A's finished up, and I'll bring you, try and bring you the official results from Zwift Power as soon as they're in. Looks like Julian Fussell said, why use the arrow now? I have no idea. It was not a great place to use the arrow. I believe I know what he's talking about. And Julian, thank you for the compliment there. Brilliant, really enjoyed that. Cade, well done. And thanks for watching, guys. Julian and Ollie, it was definitely a fun race to cover. Alright, let's see if we have official results now. It looks like Tommy Iverson from the DBR. So T from the DBR was registered on Zwift Power. So Tommy Iverson is our winner today. Then Darren Bailey, Mark Lambach, Jonathan JB Bishop was in 4th. So I was wrong that he had won this one. Eric Kruger from Dirt, he finished in 5th, rounding out our top 5. Andrew Hayes, I had mentioned him a couple times, finished 7th. And looks like our favorite for today, I believe that was Tim Moody. He finished 20th in the C's. Then over in the D race, looks like our D's did in fact manage to squeak into 2nd place. Ross Jackson from the Wolfpack, he took 1st in the D's and he finished before our first A rider. So that means our D's are technically in 2nd place, although the 2 D's that finished before the A's are technically C's on Zwift Power, so I'm not sure what exactly we're doing about that. If Gordon wants to qualify or clarify in the chat there, then he can let me know. But I don't believe that those riders are going to count. So that would put our A's in 2nd. Alex Markford in 1st. Jerry Klenkner in 2nd. Miles Askew 3rd for the A's. Scott Jaworski in 4th. And Nathan Morehouse in 5th. As for Chris Parsons Green, he was in 7th from the SW Wasps in the A race. Then we had a couple of B's. B's and A's finished very close together here at the same time. In fact, Mason Butler winning the B's, followed up by Xavier Torres, S. Harris, Paul Beneveld, Diego Leone, and Jonathan Hale. Those are your top 6 from the B race. And in terms of D's who are actually D's, Dom D from the Herd won that race. And looks like Patrick Hopperanta, the Rhino I was talking about earlier, in 2nd. Dirk Nauman in 3rd. Alright, that concludes our coverage for today. No problem, Gordon, over there in the chat. Definitely a fun race to cover, as always. And hopefully we'll see you next week here on the Zwift Race Place. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you enjoy.